I'm the best at what I do. You wanna test that theory, boy? Dad? What is up, YouTube? I am your host, Piercing Pencils, and welcome back to my channel. And we are doing another late bloomer action figure review. And this one is actually super special because this will be my first unboxing, okay? Now, this is a brand new figure in my collection, but it is very, very old considering that it was released all the way back in 2011. We're talking about the Marvel Legends Arnim Zola Wave Dark Wolverine, aka Daken Akihiro, aka the son of Wolverine. And I could not be any more happier to add this to my collection. And for the condition that I have received this figure in, it is not a used figure. This is brand new. For the price point and where I've purchased it, I would do it again. This is amazing. It looked like it was just on a shelf only a few months, and you can see like the anatomy and the janky articulation, like mid wrist articulation, and that terrible pelvic articulation that I cannot stand to work with. So, I mean, I would do it all over again. Like this is amazing. Just look at that. The glue is still pristine and it hasn't worn down at all. The previous holder of this figure kept this in great conditioning. It stood the test of time. The description reads, Dark Wolverine lives in the shadows, trapped between evil temptations and his heroic bloodline. We haven't really seen in a lot of media, especially the main comics, Dark Wolverine. So like he's like an anti-hero, just like his dad. And the artwork is great. The packaging is amazing. Like I can't get over how cool that is. That's top notch for me. So we're gonna flip this back over, and you have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures to build Arnim Zola. Which Dark Wolverine is included. Um, so he's gonna have like 7 pieces. You got Wrecking Crew, Bucky Cap, Drax the Destroyer, Phantom X, Marvel's Madam S. I don't know who that is. And all the way at the very end, we have Big Time Let Down Spider-Man, which is, I guess, one of the worst Spider-Man figures that Marvel has ever released. That's debatable. But moving along, we're going to definitely take this out of the package and get like a more deep dive into this. So taking this out of the package, it wasn't bad for what it was at the time. I'm pretty sure 11 years ago I would have gone crazy over this. And actually I have. I've never had this in my collection before. But you it's one of those things. It's just like the previously reviewed Thundra figure. It's like they weren't bad figures. The painting and the molds were drastically different from what they are today, from what Hasbro has been doing since they took it over for Toy Biz. I make that point over and over again. Um, but it's like for a creative person like myself, and I'm doing stop motion, and I'm going to be doing short stories, and I love to do the intros for you guys and showing you the different points of articulation. These figures, you kind of like, if you're like me, you want to leave them in the package, or even if you open them up and then you mess around with them a little bit. It's like this was a great brand new figure, coming out of the package. And a lot of the joints, which you can, they have been switched around for a good reason, because they feel like they would have been broken. So here's some still shots. The still shots are always not a problem, and I have them with one of my Wolverine figures, and I always imagined that Dakin would have been a little bit taller than Wolverine. I have to actually research, and I should have did the research for this video, because I think Dakin really is taller than Wolverine, because everybody knows that, like, in the comics, Wolverine is 5'3", so Dakin, I believe, would be a whole lot taller. also I'm pointing out that this figure kind of stands around the same height as Logan, and I would imagine that he would be taller. So getting into 11-year-old articulation, the notable differences is the huge butterfly joints, and he has mid-glove articulation. Everything else is pretty much standard or improved upon this time around. The waist is great, but that belt is loose, and that terrible godforsaken pelvic articulation. That pelvic joint, if you're not careful in it being so stiff, you're going to have a very bad day if you break it. But here's the Arnim Zola left arm, and it's a great mold. The detail is pretty average for what it was. I mean, they do a whole lot cooler stuff. That he has an elbow, single joint. You can 360 the hand, the wrist is up and down. He can hold something. So that's pretty standard nowadays. But when I got to the joint, the shoulder socket, it looked like there was like some stress there. I'm not sure if that's from the factory. I'm not really sure what to think about that, because I didn't think that I would actually run into something like that, even if it is an 11-year-old figure. And mind you, mine was never opened, so I'm not exactly sure why there's stress there. I'm a little worried about that, even if I'm not going to collect the other figures to build Arnim Zola. I mean, that's not the point. But so here we are, getting back into the Dark Wolverine figure. It's a pretty cool mold. There's very loose belt. I'm pretty sure they couldn't figure out what to do to where the belt was so loose, so they separated. The butterfly joints are massive, massive. The paint is pretty good. It's not consistent. Look at how crazy that joint is. It's massive, and the paint's not consistent. You can see where they stopped. It's different on the other side. The paint goes back pretty far deep into the articulation, and then these claws are like ridiculous. I don't know if these look like naked bananas, or like if it's like clay or oatmeal oozing from like his hands, but these do not look like bone claws at all. Like, it's one of the down points of the figure. I mean, like, if you take a hot dryer to them and heat them up and get them more straight so they don't look like chopsticks, because now they look like bumpy chopsticks, I mean, you can get away with it. But the tattoo that Dark Wolverine has, that's pretty cool. I mean, and then you get into the molding, and the anatomy is not good, you know. And then here we are with the pelvic joint. It's stiff, I mean, if I work it a little bit, I'm not too weary about it snapping, but it is a possible thing with how stiff these joints are. They are really, really stiff. And then you have to 360 the main part of it to turn it around, and I'm just not a fan of that. But I mean, it was 2011. So, the ankle pivot is different this time around from now. That's a huge toe articulation, and he actually has shin articulation, so that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not necessary, but I think the point was, like, the more points of articulation, the better, because it was like a time to where we gotten over, like, I think at the time action figures only had about like 9 or 11 points of articulation back then. So this was a huge step up. So we're going to bring this video to a close, and I thank you once again for joining me on my late bloomer action figure reviews. And I hope you come back and you'll get to see some more awesome stuff. Peace. Do the YouTube thing, bub. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.